right. Here we go. All right,
Okay.
Mallory, what's
Hi.
up?
Nothing.
How's it going?
Great.
Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate
You're so
it.
welcome.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here.
No, I'm honored to have you here at Sacred Energy. They even let us borrow their room.
Yeah.
Here, this is where you teach.
100%.
This is where I've met you.
Yes.
Okay, so you teach sound bath classes?
Yes, and I also do individual sessions
Uh-huh.
and mediumship and readings and.
I highly recommend you hire for sound baths
Okay.
and also for readings also.
Thank
Tell
you.
us a little more about readings, because here's one thing I want to understand. How do you know?
Well, you just know. I mean, it takes some time and some practice, so your mind doesn't get in the way. But I make it an intention to channel what is needed of the highest light, along with people's guides and their ancestors and their loved ones. And then the messages just flow.
Okay.
Basically, you're a channel, right? You're a
Yeah.
channel to deliver what's needed. I believe everybody has that gift.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how you utilize it and how much you trust it, and it takes time, and it's kind of like a layered process.
And okay, just so everybody knows what we're talking about reading people's fortunes and reading their present tense, past tense, and future tense.
Yes. I mean, it's never, my messages are more what is needed at this time. A lot of it is healing, energy healing.
Energy healing. Okay.
And with those messages is where the healing starts.
Okay. Interesting. Definitely.
Yeah.
One thing I was talking to other people about, just to understand better, is like you have to have a clear mind to read people's messages.
Yes.
You can't have you can't be thinking about the Raiders. You can't be thinking about paying your bills. When people come in, they come into, I guess, your energy.
Yeah.
And then you understand their energy. Is
Right.
that kind of how it works?
Yeah, you understand their energy. I work with guides. So I work with the archangels, and I work with the intergalactics and the Galactic Confederation.
The Galactic Federation? That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Higher cosmic intelligence, along with that person's divine intelligence, so their higher self. And all of us have this higher self. It's just a matter of allowing ourselves to tap into it. I could say I could read their energy, but that's kind of not the messages. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it always depends on the person, their intention, what it is that's needed, and I'm a channel to just deliver in the best way possible what is needed, not always what's wanted.
Got it. That's what I was going to get to. So what if people come in with certain intentions, but you have to tell them the truth?
Didn't you tell them
Yeah,
the truth?
then you tell them, but you're kind of like, that's just the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're coming like, I want to find my husband, but you're like, hey, you know what, you need to take care of your health. This is what the card show. Do you do with cards or palms or?
I just do it
when they're in your
like
presence.
this. Yeah,
really?
right here. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just feel people's? Is it their aura, their energy?
A lot of it has to do with conversation. So a lot of times they will start to open up, and then we can really see where blocks are or what that is. And in between, it's just transmitting an energy and having them walk through different fears, different perceptions that they may have.
So you kind of like unhypnotize them in a sense?
Kind of. It's almost like a spiritual counseling sometimes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Spiritual counseling?
Spiritual counseling.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So.
And for people, okay, so I like to meditate every day. I meditated an hour before we got here.
I love it.
And I highly promote that to everyone, just to be a better person in every way possible.
Right.
They can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever problems you have, depression, doesn't matter.
Right.
I try to do like 2 hours a day.
I love it.
Yeah. One thing I've been reading lately about, and I've talked to people, is called gnosis.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Somewhat.
Yeah. Where like you're able to channel yourself to go into your unconscious state, to go to your higher self.
Right.
How does that work? Do you know anything about that?
Like I said, somewhat.
Yeah. My question ideally is, how do you get into your higher state?
Through meditation.
Okay.
And
oh, yeah.
Through meditation. And here's the thing. I think that in the spiritual world, there's so many beautiful techniques that you can use, and everything works for someone. You know, I know people who do plant medicine. I've never done plant medicine.
Mhm.
I know people that, meditate
Right here.
2
I mean,
hours a day.
That's what I do.
All of that. So
That's-
all of these different techniques are helpful. And then you come into a place of embodiment where you're actually just in that meditative state, allowing the universe to work through you. And that comes with different types of layers, I guess you could say. That's the best way to explain it. I don't know here in the physical world if there's an actual word, but the one that's coming through is layers. For you to just really connect and be able to hold that present still state so you can observe and manage and navigate in a way that's going to serve you in your highest good, and in turn it serves everyone involved in their highest good. I feel like we're all keys, right? So if you're making the choices that, or making the moves, you can even say, that serve you in your highest good, then you're unlocking it for the next person. And because
Okay.
we're all connected and we all kind of move that way.
Okay. Do you think there's substances people can take? I don't want to say drugs because I've been talking to people about ayahuasca in
Yes.
Peru,
Mhm.
and that's just like a different channel to get you there.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like contemplating that because I don't really want it. I've never done anything like that,
Right.
and I'm debating it. But I've been meditating a lot, and someone said, "Hey, it's like this might just take you there, and then you can figure out how to get there on your own afterwards."
Right. I think that plant medicine, I've never done an ayahuasca journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've somewhat been called. I believe the medicine is helpful to open up those channels.
Okay.
And then you take that information, even when you're meditating, whether it's on a plant medicine or 2 hours a day, you take that information that's been received through your meditation and then you bring it back into the physical world, and you can make those steps to bring whatever you want to manifest into reality. So I think that ayahuasca, like I said, I haven't done it, so I don't know. I don't have an experience with that,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely believe that it would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Some people do, and I think that it all has to do with the intention that you have. You have to go with a clear intention. You have to go with a clear purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and from there, I believe that it will bring up what needs to be brought up to either be released and then received.
Yeah, I actually know someone personally who was a hardcore alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
and their family tried to help them in any way possible, and they would just always relapse. And then they did ayahuasca, and boom, like
It just changed.
It just completely just went cold turkey, as they say.
Yeah.
And like I even tried to test him, and he's like, "No, I don't drink anymore." I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "Honestly, I just took it, and it just rewired my brain." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "I don't feel changed, except I just don't need it anymore." I was like, "Wow, okay."
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. That is.
I mean,
pretty
it's
beautiful.
powerful. I'm Polynesian, so we're going to work with I'm going to have a ceremony with kava.
Kava, what's
It's
that?
a plant. It's a
Okay.
root. It's a liquid, so you drink it. It really helps with anxiety. It really brings you into a meditative state. It helps with relaxation and just being able to receive. That is my lineage. So some people find it through that. Other people find it through, whether it's ayahuasca or,
And then-
weed or
Yeah,
shrooms
yeah.
or whatever you want to do. I think that every time you use a plant, it's so important to be respectful
Yes.
and then to really have a good intention.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he went in there saying, like, my intention is to either A, understand why I'm an alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
or B, try to shift that, and boom, it did,
So, at first I didn't know you were Polynesian. I thought you were
Yeah.
Hispanic, but cool.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what is that ritual or practice called in the islands?
It's like a kava ceremony.
It's a kava ceremony. Is it more similar to like THC or more like ayahuasca? Like, do you have like a psychedelic trip on it, or is it more like a calming sensation?
Very calming, very relaxing.
That's interesting. I want to try. Do they have
Yeah.
that in Hawaii too, or is it more
Yeah.
like the Samoan Islands?
No, you can have it they have it in Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
So
Cool.
we're going to hold one of those and do some energy work and then an activation and meditation. And that's one of the plant medicines that not only am I familiar with, that I'm honored to be able to serve.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, for me, it's a beautiful thing because it's heritage.
Awesome. And when are you going to have this? So just tell our people. So when I post this, people can come. I'm actually thinking about doing it. I'm going to read a little bit more about it. If it's not a psychedelic trip, I'll definitely be there.
It's not.
Then I'll definitely come by.
It's more bring us all back down, release what is,
I'll
not
come by.
needed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're going to do it on February 19th. It's from 6 to 7:30.
Oh, it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not like a 3-day ayahuasca trip, nothing
No.
like that. Oh, okay.
And it can be celebratory too. So
Yeah.
it's, but no, we'll have everyone in a circle. They can take what they want to take, and from there we will do some energy work, some activation, and probably work with some drums and.
Cool. Count me in. I'll try it. I mean,
Okay.
I've been reading a lot about like, because I'm in sales right now.
Okay.
And I've just been reading a lot about just how to better yourself in any way possible. And when people say like, "Hey, try new things," I mean, if it's not harmful to you, you should definitely try it, and it opens your mind.
It,
You know,
100%.
and I meet like different people because like I'm in more of the business world.
Yeah.
And if I meet different people from like that spiritual, practices, it definitely just opens your mind to new things.
It's
Why not?
combining the path.
And it's a new experience,
Right.
and it's just gonna better you.
Yeah, and I think that that's beautiful to be able to combine those two worlds. I understand the corporate world. I did that for
You said FedEx?
for about 11 years and
Cool.
worked myself, and then I was just like, hey, we're gonna jump. We're gonna try something different. But to be able to combine the two worlds, I think, is what we need, because everybody makes it separate, right? We have our physical, our mental, emotional, career, and our spiritual. And at the end of the day, we're here to make it all one big working unit.
Got it.
So.
Got it. That's why I kind of started this podcast and called it Magic or Science.
Right.
Because ideally, I think magic is science that we don't understand yet.
Right. Oh,
right.
100%.
So some things that you do and you say you're connecting to a higher being, I'm sure some people might not completely understand that, but a lot of people are like, show me the proof.
Right.
But I think that quantum mechanics is the doorway into like magic and like higher selves.
Right.
Because I've been reading a lot about it, and just the fact that you can observe particles,
right,
and it changes,
yeah,
just by your consciousness.
Just by your thought, yeah.
But that's magic on its own.
100%. I think there's a book, I forgot the author's name, but where he talked to water, and he would say really angry words towards water, and the way that it would form versus really loving and caring words. And he would observe how that shifted, and it was like completely night and day. It's really cool. And it is. It's all vibrational. I mean, if we get into alchemy, right? It's all thoughts and bringing in harmony and applying the element of love and going from there. And so a lot of times if we can not take on the collective consciousness, but really just say, hey, my intention to either stay neutral so I can observe what is happening within me without attaching to a thought, or feeling something come through and you're just like, no, I'm going to send love, I'm going to send peace, you'll see how that person or whatever is happening actually shifts before you walk into the room or their response. And it's actually a really cool thing to do. I mean, I do it with my little boy. So he's...
How would someone practice that? Let's just say, like, right now, listen to this. Let's say they want to better their life. How would they practice that?
Well, you would still your mind, right? You still your mind. And then you really just listen to what the narrative is that you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
And then you take a step back. So it's almost like third person. So that's where we go into the higher mind. And we're like, wait, if I look at this in a bigger way, does this matter? Is this a belief I want to keep? And then...
That happened to me.
Show me something. And even if we don't, I always ask a higher source. So that can be universe, creator, whatever. Because I think that it's very important to believe that, yes, you're one with all that is, right? But there's always a creator. There's always that bigger source of energy to tap into.
You mean like the force, in a sense?
Yeah, we can call it the force. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. The universe, God, whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
And then it's like...
Unified consciousness?
Yes, 100%. And you can say, so show me something different.
So show me something
different. So show me something different. I don't resonate here with this belief, so you show me something different. But a lot of things that we're going into, which can go into the quantum, is all frequency, right? It's all vibrational.
Vibrations, okay.
So a lot of the times, words are huge, the words that we speak and how we use them, and a lot of times it's unconsciously, right? We use these words that are just not in a vibration with how we want to feel. But getting back to changing that frequency is using a higher vibrational word.
Using like gratitude.
Gratitude can be one.
What's the highest? I think someone told me, I thought it was love, but someone told me it's gratitude.
Gratitude is huge. I mean, we can always be grateful, but that doesn't mean we have to stay where we are. I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for what's going to come, and what the steps are, what the plan is for me to take. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what action steps can we take
100%.
with the trust in a higher source or my higher divine intelligence.
So for me, you said higher thinking and just a higher being. What I'd like to do is before I do something to make it work, I like to be grateful that it's already happened.
100%.
Right. And I'm kind of like reaching out to the future and bringing it to my present tense.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful it already happened, and then I do it, and it actually does happen more often than not.
Isn't that beautiful?
In sales. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, because really what you're doing is that you're using that consciousness, you're using that intention, and you're saying, I'm going to draw this. And that can go into like law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are like, here's my intention and I'm going to manifest it. Oh my God, it's here. I manifested this. Well, no, what that is that you are in alignment to actually receive it.
Right.
So you're already saying in your mind, or your intention is saying, I am going to do this, and I've already received it, and I'm grateful that I've done it, and then it's there because you're actually in alignment. You can't say I want to do this and then be like over here and left field and expect it to.
So 5 years ago, I don't think I could have done that.
Right.
Because I probably didn't have the same self-esteem. I didn't have the same understanding. I wasn't grounded because of meditation. Right. But since I meditated, it just kind of got like those layers. I got through those layers.
Yeah.
And now I believe I deserve it, so I'm grateful for it, and then I go out and get it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it happened.
Yeah, and once it's there, you're like, okay, this is easy. We just move on.
But here's the thing: the first couple of times it was trippy. I was like, dude, I just thought into the future, and then after a while, you just get used to it, and then you're like, no, this is just how it works.
Yeah.
But I want to understand how exactly it works.
Well, I think we leave our bodies, right? We with our mind, we definitely leave this physical world, and we go ahead and we set it up. So a lot of times people have dreams, deja vu, premonition, all of that in our sleeping state. So if people don't meditate 2 hours a day, and they have the world that they need to go and take care of. But in the sleeping state is where we can really access that consciousness. And so we'll go in our sleeping state and we'll be setting it up, this, that, and the other. We come back to our bodies, we wake up, we go throughout our day. And a week later, a day later, you're like, oh my God, this is deja vu. I've already been here.
That's happened.
Well, because you've actually set it up already. You've already been here. So it's alignment. But where you're in your waking state and saying, this is my most dominant intention, universe, I've already received it, now I just have to walk into it, that is another way. And I feel like the human collective is getting into that place. It's a higher dimensional way of being in their physical body and in their waking state.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it works.
So the way it works is that you're actually jumping into that timeline, which 100. Is your highest timeline.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back to your reality, right? And you're just taking those steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, I have it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's actually really...
Precognition.
Yeah, powerful.
Yeah, I've been reading about it. See, 40 years ago, if we were talking about this, they'd be like, you're crazy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But now we're into quantum mechanics, and you perceive things, and the molecules change.
Yeah.
So there's something definitely there. There's scientific physical evidence to back this up.
100%.
It's not all there. We're scratching the surface, but there's something definitely there.
Well, and I think that we are just setting the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many people. I mean, we go back into ancient times, and the meditation and all of that and all the gurus and everything. They've been setting this up for us to this point. Now we're actually the manifestation of what that is. And now we're going into a whole nother field, like you've mentioned, and we're setting it up for the futures before us or after us.
Okay.
And it's just going to be this layered effect. So with the science, like you said, we're just scratching the surface, but it's going to go deeper and deeper and deeper because there will be no way to deny it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, they didn't want to.
They didn't want to deal with
Yeah,
it.
they don't want to deal with
I
that.
mean, I kind of talked to scientists off the record, and they're like, "Yeah, I just don't want to deal with this." Like,
Yeah.
they don't want to come on my podcast.
Because it's unexplainable.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's unexplainable.
Well, then don't they have to go back and kind of change science in a sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and who
that's
wants
crazy.
to?
Yeah.
Who wants to change?
Well, imagine they have like 30 years of work that they've done, and they're like, "Hey, sir, I'm sorry, but you're wrong."
Yeah.
Yeah, like string theory, which is apparently going out the door.
Well, yeah, who wants to be like, okay, after all of this work?
But as a scientist, don't you think people just want to question everything?
Yeah.
But I guess they're too much deeply rooted into the matrix, maybe.
It could be, and I think that it's
Self-esteem too, maybe.
Self-esteem, and we could even go back further of like they don't want to be proven wrong in any sense. But whatever the case is, it wouldn't be wrong. It would just be things are evolving.
Yeah.
To have to go and undo all of this work so we could evolve is gonna. That just doesn't make sense, I think, to people. And here's the thing, the spiritual world doesn't make sense. The minute you try to understand it before you're meant to understand it, it will never make sense.
That's the same thing with quantum mechanics. So.
Yeah.
They're like, well, it doesn't make sense. And so I remember listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, it's the universe.
Yeah.
It's the cosmos. He's like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just there.
It just is.
But if you can't understand it, that's your problem.
Right. And that comes back down to the conditioning, right? And all of that. And I mean, we've seen it in our world, especially over the last couple years, where so many things are crumbling, like crumbling and crumbling and crumbling. And we're being faced to look at some beliefs that we've been taught, beliefs that have been passed down, and say, hey, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Whether it's towards, how we are to humanity, how we are to ourselves, how we are to earth, how we are to, the spiritual, the religious worlds, all of that. They're like, everything's being questioned.
Yeah.
And that is threatening. So I would say it's threatening to scientists too, because that basically just rips the foundation from all of them,
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I think when they don't want to deal with it, I could understand why,
Yeah. Yeah, me
and
too.
then how to put it back together without anything making sense is even scarier. And then we have to go into like the trusting process of something bigger than who we are.
Yeah.
But there are scientists, I believe, out there who are ready to question. It's just a matter of getting the right people with them. Yeah.
I'll go and interview them.
Yeah.
I just have an interview. I just want to have a conversation because I just want to question everything.
Yeah.
And just understand it. I'm not here to be right. I'm not here to be wrong. I just want to understand it. Because here's the thing. When I talk to most people, they said they've had like either a deja vu or a spiritual experience, or maybe they've heard of someone that's, been treated by a medicine woman or a medicine man, or, people read their fortune. Even in my culture, I'm Armenian, where they're like hardcore Christians. But there's this thing where they drink coffee and they put it upside down. And my mom even does this. And they read people's fortunes. Where it's technically Christianity, you're not supposed to do that, but it just goes on. Or they jump over fire at weddings, which is a pagan thing that we used to do.
Yes.
So there's all these people that do this, but when I ask them, like, what's going on, I don't know.
No, well, and that comes from way back in the day, when we, way back, and we had to go through those wars, and we had to choose a side, and if not, we'd be crucified if we didn't. And so a lot of those teachings were forbidden, especially in for the women, and because men needed to take the dominant power. But I mean, we go to ancient Sumeria, and even to the times of like Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, when they walked this earth plane, they were gathering groups of women, and they were the ones who were honored, and they were doing these rituals, and then things took over. So
that makes sense.
We had to go through all the wars. People had to, either die or
but it's not
conform.
So the point is whether it's spirituality or magic, it's not really brute force.
Yeah.
It's a woman could do it, even though you could be the weakest person or a guy. And when you are able to understand and exercise these things, then you have a certain element in power to you.
100%.
And that's threatening to someone who's bigger, badder, who has more power than you. Because you're an anomaly there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I love too about what you're mentioning about your mother is that and your culture is that they still do carry these
They do.
ancient traditions.
100%.
When so many times, I mean, the witch trials in Salem,
Yeah.
where so many people were harmed, hurt, killed,
But
not to practice them, but they still, so it's like, something deep within your line, in your DNA, in their heart,
Mm-hmm.
has said, hey, these are some of the things that we are going to keep,
Yeah.
and we're not afraid to actually demonstrate them. We're going to keep on. And I think that that's really powerful just in itself, for it to still make it up to 2022.
Yeah. I'm talking about like 4,000, 5,000 years
Yeah.
where they kept it. That's
And
cool.
yeah, I think that that's beautiful.
So you read people's energies, and like the present tense, you're able to.
Yeah.
What do you think of people that say, "Oh, I control my own future. I control my own destiny"?
I think that that's true in a sense. You know what I mean? I do. I do feel like that's true, to an extent.
Because some people are like kind of asleep. Well, I was talking about this yesterday. Like some people don't have control of their future because they have a boss, they have bills to pay, and they got themselves into that.
Right.
And they're kind of like asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And like you have to wake yourself up if you truly want to be in control of your future.
Right. Well, that, and it's like they're controlling their future because they're in these places, right? And so they feel like they're very in control. But at the end of the day, they do have the power and the control to change what it needs to change,
Right.
if they don't like the way it's going. So I think that we all have the power to be the co-creator in our life. But I also think that if you open up, and you kind of wake up to the things that are going on around you in the universe or whatever that is, you have even more power to create your life.
Create your life.
Mhm.
Create your destiny. Okay, cool.
I feel like right now where we're at is actually, that's the card that we're being given, is like, here's the universe. You can ask for what you want, and then you can receive it, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. What the choice is yours. And I think that that's really scary. I know I've encountered that too. It's like there's too many choices. I just want one or two. Like, what is it? And
but don't you also have to train your mind? Because I was reading like they say for every decision, people come up with the worst possible outcome for themselves. And when you should train yourself to think of the best possible outcome, so the best possible outcome ends up happening.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. And you have to believe that that is going to be the very best, the highest, greatest good, whatever the case is. And sometimes in reality, that can
Happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can.
And sometimes it can be hard to accept because it's better than you could have imagined. And I've experienced that.
I've experienced that too.
And it's like, wait a minute, are you sure? You know what I mean? But it's like,
but you shouldn't question yourself.
No, you can't question it.
Yeah.
And I think too, like one of my biggest things that I've been stepping into is that being human. Like we're so human, and I think there are times that we will leave our bodies and go up into higher dimensions, receive the information. I think for me, it's like, how am I applying it to the humanness of my life? How am I embodying that? And how am I applying it? And so I think, we can go out there in all of that and receive what we need to receive, how we're going to do it, align with the best outcome. And, but at the end of the day, it's just like, stay here, be now, be present. And again, know that it's already on its way. It's coming. And once you're ready to step into it, it's going to be right there. And I think that you're a perfect example of what that is.
Cool. But I still want to be grounded and
Yeah.
question everything.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure science sooner or later will be able to explain everything that's happening. Like when people like are able to know things without truly knowing them. But yeah. For now, I don't understand. That's why I'm like interviewing all these people. I want to pick their brains to see what's going on.
Yeah, I think that the universe where we are right now is we're going through a huge shift, and there are things that have yet to be revealed to all of us on a collective level. What we're here to do right now is to question.
Yeah.
It is to search in a sense. It is to receive in a sense. It is to be in a sense. And it is to walk this earth plane in a way that's going to be honorable to who you are and to humanity as a whole.
Right. But I had to learn to question things because when I was younger, my parents told me, don't question anything. We know best for you.
Yeah.
But now there's the internet. So if you want to stay uninformed, that's a choice.
Oh, 100%.
So like all this information's online. Yeah, there's some people that post like some wacky stuff, but like when you talk to different people, like when I've been talking to people, there's different patterns that are being built. Right, like energy, positive thinking, and these are things that like billionaires write in books, even though they're not spiritual in the sense. They write these in books, so like I'm starting to connect the dots a little bit.
I love it.
It's not scary, but it's a little shocking.
Right,
and I want to share it with people too, so they can better their lives.
And I think that that's amazing. I love that. I think that this purpose and this project that you've taken on is one that has been needed for quite some time. And so I honor you, and I'm honored to be here. Yeah,
I'm honored to
and to be questioned.
Yeah,
it's like let's question shit that we
it's question shit that we don't understand. But that's the point. You just question a bunch of people.
Yeah,
you put it online. I mean, people can make up their own minds if they want
100%.
to. Right. I'm not trying to like sway anyone's decision, but just I just want the information to be out there.
Well, and I think too, you're just saying, hey, here this is. You can take it, you can leave it, but if it makes you question something, here's an outlet for you to come to.
Right, and I'm like
really love it.
Yeah, and I'm like a pretty clean cut guy.
Yeah,
but I still like to question things. Like,
that's okay. Yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to be like? Not clean cut?
No, I mean like there's people that are like very super spiritual, like hippie, this, that. But I'm not, a little more corporate. But I like to question things. I don't care.
But you know what? I think that is another thing that you are dismantling is you're destroying the image of what a spiritual person is.
Right.
You know, and I think, again, that goes back to the humanness of who we are. We don't have to, you're dismantling the identity. We don't have to be, in dreadlocks and all of that to say, hey, I'm spiritual. We don't have to walk around with a beard and, impersonate Jesus to say, hey, I'm spiritual. We don't have to, but guess what? What's so beautiful is that we can.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same thing in our own individual expression of all that is, which is the universal mind, and that's the beautiful thing. And with that being said, we can approach humanity in a way that's a lot more open because you never know really who they are, what they are, how, spiritual they are or not.
Yeah.
And if we can go with that openness, there's a lot more heart-centered consciousness, acceptance, and just love for one another.
Definitely. There's definitely more empathy.
Yeah.
I feel like I still have an ego, but like ever since I've been meditating more and more, the room or the space around my ego has grown.
I love it.
So there's more room for, love, compassion.
Navigation.
Like I could go into fear more. I have a more tolerance for fear or for excitement or just the unknown. But the ego's still there. So whether like, it dissolves your ego, not really. It's just the space around it grows.
Well, and I think our ego too has gotten a bad rap over the years, and I think that that's okay. There's a lot of things that we've had to be taught on an old spiritual paradigm that is now shifting, and I think the new spiritual paradigm that we are is really recognizing our ego as one of our biggest protectors and really protecting our innocence. So we can be combative or we can be angry. And if we look behind that, we can see a version of ourselves that felt like we were threatened or needed to be defensive in some sort of situation. And we see that that's what's triggering us now. And we can say, hey, thank you for protecting me. Let me love you a little bit more. Now let me see this version of me who feels threatened, And at that point, we can bring that version, whether it's our inner child, if it's a memory from our parents or whatever the case is, and say, how can I love you a little bit more? So the next time we encounter a situation that makes us be in this type of more reactive state, I can have the wisdom, the higher consciousness to remind you that it's okay. And really allow that version of ourself to speak their truth to us so our ego doesn't jump in the way.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Nice.
So those are, if we can actually, question every part of us without making us an endless project of shit, we can dismantle a whole bunch of things. But if we're always looking for what's wrong or where there needs to be more healing, we're never going to fully feel complete.
Right.
You are always going to continue to look for the problem either in me or in another or something like that. We will always continue. What's so beautiful is if we take a step back, the parts of us that need healing are they just reveal themselves to us. And we don't have to dig like a dog. It's kind of like We dig to see how deep we can go. And we're looking for this bone like a dog. And really what we realize is that the bone that we're looking for is right there on the surface under the pile of dirt we just dug up. And if we just like let it reveal itself, I'm like, oh, okay,
Okay.
let me love you a little bit more. I'm going to reward myself with this bone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it goes to ego, I think that that's exactly what it's meant to do, for you to take that observer place and say, hey, where am I feeling this anger and can I step into it? Or where am I feeling this fear and can I step into it? And really allowing yourself to have the room to embrace the part of you that has been hidden behind an ego or false beliefs, and question all of that.
Okay. One question I have for you is about like spirituality and what it means to be spiritual. Because honestly, I date girls and they always ask me, are you spiritual or not? I was like, I guess I'm not spiritual because I really don't know what that means, but I like to meditate for 2 hours a day. And like I believe in a lot of the things that you're talking about. So when someone says, I'm spiritual, what does that mean per se? At least to you, what does that mean?
Great, so am I. I think we're all spiritual. It's just a matter of when someone says that they're spiritual, that's an identity. I am spiritual. That's an identity. Okay. So it's for them to tell me what that is for them. You know, I am a spiritual. Do I meditate every single day? Not always, but when I go on my walks with my little guy and my dog, that's my meditation. That's my grounding. So it just kind of depends for each person. But if they're like, oh, I'm so spiritual, well, I'm really happy. So am I.
For me, it kind of means I just want to better myself. That's why I tell people, I'm like, I don't know if I'm spiritual now, but I just work on trying to better myself using different avenues.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's perfect too.
Whether physical or metaphysical.
Yeah, whatever makes you feel and have those moments of inner stillness, peace, being revealed. I think that that's spiritual. And however somebody goes about that is completely up to them. You know, I think that we are going to see over time a really big spiritual ego get dismantled throughout the collective. And really what that's doing is shedding the identity of what being spiritual is, so that everybody recognizes that they are a spiritual being in human form. How they practice that is up to them. I have a cousin who is very gifted.
Gifted how?
She's just... she's a knower, so she just knows things.
Oh, I would love to talk to her.
And she's a seer, and she's
like a prophet, not a prophet, but like more like a psychic.
Yeah, you know, and
like
she just
foresight.
Very much
intuition.
Foresight. Yeah, she can see through different realms. She can see different spirits. I mean, she is the most loving, down to earth person. With that being the case, she's spiritual. She does her meditation. She does her goals. She does her, envision the best and allow it to receive all of that to better herself and her life. With that being the case, she's also religious. And so when I go out and I visit her and I've said, what makes you continue to attend this religious location? She goes, because regardless of what it is, she goes, this is my connection. This is my connection. I don't have to always believe, but this is where I feel my peace. This is where, so she's just as much spiritual, and it happens to be that her real big connection goes back to her religious roots.
Awesome.
And that's perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But
it fits in if she believes it and she also kind of has it.
Yeah.
It just reinforces it more, and she meditates, so she's exercising that.
Everything and all of it, but one of her biggest, connection is going to a religious organization and being able to stay neutral, but still feel the presence of whatever it is she's looking for, whether that's divine inspiration, her divine intelligence, and that's her intention. And so is she spiritual? Yes. Is she religious? Yeah. And that's her thing.
Good.
So when somebody says, I'm spiritual, I don't think that there is quite a
textbook definition in a sense. Not really. Yeah, I don't think, there's no one size fits all.
And I think that that's going to be one of the biggest things that you start to encounter is we've had rules of what spirituality is, what meditation. And you're saying hold on, we're done. Yeah, we're going to dismantle this spiritual ego and this identity, because we're actually stepping into this brand new spiritual paradigm that's going to blow the doors off of all of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'll help them. Just blow those doors
Yeah.
wide open. Why
Blow
not?
them open. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It all started like just positive thinking.
Yeah.
And I was reading about it and just the power of positive thinking. And I was like, wait, how does your mind just think positively and things just happen? But it does.
It does.
Yeah, but that's the trippy thing. But I want to understand how. Well, this is like quantum mechanics, which we don't even understand yet.
Right.
But I've tried it many times, especially in sales, and it does help me out.
Yeah.
But that's just me like doing it. Here, if you want to drink some
No,
water.
you're fine.
But here's the thing. What I want to do is pass that. Like people that are sick that take a lot of medication because they believe that somehow it helps them. But honestly, like if you take 10 different pills a day, that's just gonna kill you. It's like poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe like one pill for a few days or something like that.
Yeah.
But these people that think positively, over time, I truly believe their life will be better off.
I believe that so much.
100%.
It really starts with your mind. And if we
Yeah.
go in there, it's like, what do you think? You know, we've had this COVID breakout. Never once was I ever afraid of getting COVID.
Me neither.
I never believed I would get it. I've never
pretty sure I
gotten
got
it.
I'm pretty sure I got it, but I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, you know, I might have had it, but it's just, not that I'm bigger and better and, you know, I'm invincible, I'm never going to get it. I
Yeah.
didn't have that type of mentality. I'm just like, this is something that's happening and I don't feel like it's going to affect me in these ways. Now, the others, and it, you
Yeah,
know,
there's people
God
that
bless
live in
them. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying one thing or another. I also believe certain things happen for certain reasons. But I'm just saying if you believe in certain sicknesses, there are a lot.
100. You're more susceptible to getting it.
100%.
So that's funny.
They're going to manifest. They're going to
Yeah.
manifest in
Yeah.
physical form. And that's exactly what,
Yeah.
whether it's sickness, illness, or positive things,
But
it's going
here's
to
the thing.
manifest.
You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the way we think. And so that's why if you start to question the collective consciousness, that's where you can actually see a big divide and a big difference. And I think that's what's so beautiful about your work is like, hey, just look at this in a different way
Yeah.
rather than what we're
Right.
being fed all the time.
Even if you don't believe in spirituality, all that other stuff, just think positively, and just your life will be better off.
Yeah.
That's why I truly. But then again, then if you dig deeper, there's more to it. There's more to it, and then, like you're saying, the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one example is people that say, God forbid, people have cancer.
Right.
If they don't know about it, it's really not going to bother them.
No.
Maybe like down the line, 5 years, 10 years later. But if like you go to a doctor and they're like, hey, you have cancer, you have 6 months to live, and they truly believe that, they're going to die probably less than 6 months.
Yeah.
But they're doing that to themselves.
Right.
Or if they're like, oh, you have cancer, and you're like, oh, I could beat this, and you truly believe that, like, I think you can overcome it. I mean, there's scientific evidence proving that too.
Yeah, well, I believe that too. You know, I think that, I mean, it's shown me that a lot in my life, you know, of just like the beliefs that we may have towards another or towards ourselves. And if you take a minute and you are like, no, one of the examples is my little boy. It's just like, he's not going to sleep tonight. He's not. And one day I was like, no, he's going to go to sleep perfectly. He's going to sleep all night. Boom, he did.
Good.
And it was done. And through my thought, it helped. It manifested for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting, what I'm
too.
getting to is that, yeah, if you believe in something, it's going to manifest whether you want it to or not. It's just a matter of like, what is it that you're going to believe so that it comes forward in the way that you really truly want it to, instead of believing what's, you know, a doctor's saying.
Right.
If you're going to die in 6 months and you're going to believe it, then you're counting down 6 months because
that's probably
now you believe it.
Yeah, now you
know?
believe. But it could be the other way. Like, no, in a year, my daughter's getting married. We set the date. I don't care what happens. I'm going to make it to my daughter's wedding, and I'm going to walk her down the aisle. No matter how sick you are, you're going to be able to charge through everything and get your daughter down the aisle.
And you will.
On their wedding day. Yeah, you will.
You
I've heard
really
of
will.
stories like that. It's just people's will, you know?
Yeah, I've witnessed it in my own family. So it's really beautiful. It's beautiful when you can actually have a bigger trust and a bigger belief than what it is that you're being fed.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Let's just say people, I mean, I think people should come see you.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Like,
I think people should be interviewed by you.
I mean, yeah, I would definitely love that more.
Yeah.
How would you be able to help them? Let's just say someone comes to you and they're like, you know what, I'm really depressed.
Mhm.
I don't have a reason to live. My husband just left me. How would you be able to help him out?
It depends on a lot of different things, but the number one is like, let's focus on what it is from this point. How do you want it to look in the future?
Ooh,
You know, how would you want this to look in the future? This is where you're at. And that's not dismissing where they are. You know, sometimes we have to go to these deeper levels to get
you
there.
should.
And it's, if you can just take a minute and imagine what it is you want from here, how would that be? And how does that feel? You know, and
Yeah.
get into that vibration while still in this one. And I've had clients like that, you know, and I've had clients who have come to me at those levels. And I've been, over this last year, it has been really hard on a collective and just individually.
Sure.
But I've had clients like that, and I literally see them transform. And they will come, you know, maybe every 3 months. And we just work on the possibility of. And then you watch something click in their mind and they are, okay, all right. And sometimes it's just reminding them that they are worthy to go on. And it's saying, hey, whether your husband left you or you feel rejected or, you know, whatever the case is,
Yeah.
I'm here to see you, witness you, and remind you that you belong here and that together we can make it work. And once they know that there's somebody there that really genuinely gives a shit, you just kind of start to see how it manifests in their life. And they go above and beyond, I think, what they would have ever expected as well. And I do that too because I've had people in my life during those points that have helped me in that way also.
That's funny that you say people that give a shit. So
Mhm.
I was studying psychology in college to become a psychiatrist. Not that some psychiatrists don't give a shit,
Right.
but some of them that I dealt with, they weren't really able to help people. Like maybe there's some people that have neurological disorders, but a lot of them, like if you just talk to them and get to the underlying root,
Mhm.
they don't really need medication.
No.
Some of them do,
Yeah.
but a lot of them I don't think they do. Like if that person wants to see a psychiatrist, like, oh yeah, just take these inhibitors, take these antipsychotic medication or depressants. But if you find someone that cares, be like, okay, there's one person that cares, and then they'll be like, okay, what does she tell me to do? She told me maybe I should think 10 days into the future.
Yeah.
Do I want to be grumpy? Do I want to be happier? And then trigger
Yeah.
something.
And always, I always feel like it's, and I do it on my own as my own personal practice, to love the person who made it through, because those trauma memories come up, those experiences come up, and it's always taking us back to that. And before we jump down that rabbit hole and spiral down, it's always like, can we love the person who has made it through and made it here, right now? And if we can hold that and we can breathe into it and we can just be, then we can start to integrate the person who has hurt. You know what I mean? But yes, it is. If somebody cares, I think that gives people a lot more will to want to see what
desire.
they can.
A
Yeah.
desire. Sometimes they just come in, they don't have a, okay, that makes sense. They don't have a desire, you give them the desire, and maybe like a vision.
Yeah.
Or
You know, or we just, I mean, I don't give them any of this. What I do is I allow, and like I said, when we start, we call in their guides, we call in their divine intelligence with a conscious connection so that they can actually start to see, feel, hear, and vibrate at the level of that energetic.
okay.
And so anyway, it's like I don't give them a vision, but I can help start them to envision, to feel, and while doing that, allowing them to mourn the parts of them that are so hurt and giving them the space to do that and holding the space for them to do that and loving them through it while they learn to love themselves, you know. And I think that is heart-centered consciousness because we all go through it. And if we try to escape what we came to experience here on earth, we're not doing anybody any good.
Including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Including yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, when was the drum circle Polynesian practice that you're going to do? February
19th
Okay.
from 6 to 7:30.
I'll come.
Yeah,
February
please
19th.
do.
Yeah, I'll definitely come. And on the last note, for everyone that's listening, maybe everyone that goes back 6 months, a year from now, what will be the one single thing they could do right now to help better their lives?
Love
themselves?
yourself enough to know that you can.
Love yourself enough to know that you
Give
can.
yourself the freedom to actually think in a positive way.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Be
that's
grateful, be
literally-
gratitude, and just love yourself and be thankful for just being. That's what I always tell myself when I wake up, because we have these like morning meetings at work. They're like, "What are you grateful for?" I'm like, "I'm grateful for walking up the stairs."
Yeah.
Something that fundamental, or just I'm grateful for being able to hear you.
Yeah.
Because I have those things, and the people I talk to don't. So I'm grateful for having it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that simple. Like,
it's so simple, and it's like, how open can I be today?
yeah.
Because the universe is always going to deliver. So how open can I be to receiving that?
Okay.
You know?
Got it. Love yourself and just be open to
Yeah, love
receiving.
yourself enough to give yourself the freedom to think that you deserve whatever the highest possible outcome is. And if you don't really get engaged in whether you like it or not, but just know that it's in your highest good and you can receive it, it's going to be better than you could have ever imagined.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you again very
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming.
much,
I
yeah.
appreciate it. And I'll definitely see you at your retreat.
I hope so.
That's the word I was looking for. I was going to say ritual, but no, retreat.
Retreat, yeah.
Cool. Got
It's a
it.
little retreat, and I think that there will be some more retreats coming throughout this year.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got
I'm
it.
gonna
Thank
get it
you.
on.